What's going on, guys? We are back. It's been a minute. I apologize. I'm sorry, but we are here. We got a special guest. Who we got today?
Tarek Tyler, owner of Monopoly Development, which is a real estate investment and development firm.
That's a lot of good stuff you got going there, Ty. I need you to say it with your chest though, because those some big things you got, man. How old are you? How old are you?
25.
Say it with your chest.
25.
Yeah. So this is my boy Tarek. We grew up with each other. Actually ran on the same summer track team. So
Since ninth grade.
since ninth grade. Yeah. So
Good old days.
it's funny. Most of the people that we have on the show, we pretty much go way back because, the people I'm still connected with, we still, support each other and
Right.
what stuff we do. Yeah, guys, welcome to the podcast. This is the Red Eye Podcast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a 5-star rating. If you're listening on any other platform, we appreciate it. Please give us a like, a share, whatever you can do to help the channel grow. Helps me a lot. Helps whoever else comes on the show. That way they get some exposure, whatever they do.
Thumbs up. Always thumbs up.
Yes, thumbs up. If you're watching the YouTube version, which is the version that I like the most because I'm a video kind of guy, I don't actually like to just listen to things and not see the people, the flesh, speaking it. That's just how I am. But if you are a YouTube subscriber, and I recommend that you all become YouTube subscribers, we appreciate you showing love in the comment section, sharing the videos, liking the other videos. We've been doing a lot of stuff, not just the podcast, but also getting to more real estate, getting to more investing. This is actually the first real estate kind of person that we've ever had on this show. So you have a lot to kind of live up to. And I don't want this to just be a real estate episode because, you have way more to offer than just the real estate. Mm-hmm. But he is the person that I look up to when it comes to real estate because of everything that he has done in his short period as being an adult, so only 25 and really has some amazing accomplishments that we'll get into once we kind of get more into the discussions. But Tarek, just kind of give a little bit about yourself, tell the people, how you become the person that you are today.
Yeah. Born and raised in Missouri City, Texas, which is a suburb outside of Houston. Really been in Houston my whole life. Xavier and I ran track together. We ran summer track together, and then I went to A&M. I ran track at A&M, ran the 800. Don't know how I did that looking back at it, but did the 800 at A&M. Got a degree in agriculture economics, and I got into real estate at a young age. So I kind of knew what I was interested in before I even went to college, so I can kind of choose my major based off of what I was interested in or have interest in. And then got out of college, 2 years, did consulting, technology consulting, traveled a lot, learned a lot working with different companies and clients and whatnot. And then got fired almost a little after a year ago. I got fired August 24th, 2019. And I had my real estate business on the side, and then I decided to do that full time. So that's what I'm doing now.
And I'm probably going to title this something like got fired from from my job and started investing in real estate, because it's truly remarkable, right? Because you've gone through many phases of kind of uphill battles in your life. Right. You talk about going to A&M. And me and you kind of had the same experience. We ran track in high school, and we were really good. Like, you may look at Tarek and not think too much of him when he's sitting right here. But this dude was a dog. Like, he was definitely one of those guys. When, we passed the baton off to him, we knew that he was going to close the show.
4x4.
Yeah, we knew he was going to close the show. And when I got the stick, y'all know, you already know what, it is what it is, what's going to happen. But, but that's the kind of person that you've been. Like, just for me in life, I like to kind of associate sports with the real world. And I know it's very cliche.
Yeah.
A lot of people do it. If you cheat at, if you cheat during a drill or during some kind of workout, you're going to cheat in your career. You're going to cheat your wife. You're going to cheat, blah, blah, blah. Like, it is somewhat true. And the fact that whenever we handed the baton off to you, we knew that we could rely on you to come back and bring us the win. I think that says something about you as a person, and that, no matter what actually happens,
Yeah.
You're going to come out on top.
Yeah. You get in first, get in last. You have to do what you got to do to get the job done. I think, it is very cliche when they say talk about athletes, but it really does translate into to business and to the work life. Athletes, are faced with a lot of adversity. Basketball, football, tennis, whatever, and when you're competing, you can't really react negatively to wherever you're at. If you're in a race and if you're dead last on the last lap, you can't you can't freak out. And when you're investing or when you're in business or even if you're at your job, that's pretty much the same thing. If you mess up a PowerPoint and your manager says, hey, you messed it up, you got to do it again. You can't freak out. You just have to fix it, So sports translate a lot to the real world more. And I'm finding out more things that are relatable as I keep on living. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Exactly. And, I wanted you to get into a little bit of that journey, because I know you gave us a real high level perspective of how you got into such, but explain a little bit more about your journey from college. You ran track there, and we all know it's different when you get to the collegiate level.
Yeah,
it becomes
sure.
more so a business than actual hobby or kind of thing. You're kind of running to make sure that you keep your scholarship and all that stuff.
Right.
But also, once you graduated college, you mentioned getting fired from your corporate job.
Yeah.
And we've had multiple conversations in the past. I remember when it actually happened, and everything was always a positive outlook, because we both knew, well, you more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But me knowing who you are,
Mm-hmm.
You are by far one of the smartest people I know.
Thank you.
And the fact that, you felt so strongly about something,
Mm-hmm.
I could only feel confident in whatever decision that you were making.
Yeah.
So just explain a little bit about how, because a lot of people, they take the route going to college, they get the job,
Mm-hmm.
and then they may end up in a situation like how you felt.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of explain, what was that like, and what advice would you give to someone who may feel somewhat similar to that?
Yeah. Well, I would say, first college isn't really for everyone. A lot of people would tell you, oh, you need to go to college, you need to do this, you need to do that. But if you have, I would really focus more on your passion, what you're passionate about. And if you know what you're passionate about at a young age and you don't need to go to college to do what you're passionate about, then, focus on your passion, because that's really all that you have in this life is things that you're passionate about and people who love you and whatnot. But, yeah, so when that happened with my job, I wasn't necessarily freaking out or anything, because, due to knowing what I was passionate about at a young age, I started my business at when I was 20. Got my first property when I was 21, and I was still, investing on the side, even though I was working. So when I got fired from my job, it was, quickly I knew what I was going to do. I knew I was just going to work for myself. I mean, I always was inclined to work for myself. I knew eventually I'd work for myself. I didn't think I'd be working for myself this young in my life, but it's like it was kind of like a now or never scenario. It was kind of like, in my eyes, I think of it as like, everything happens for a reason. But that was one of the best things that happened to me, because I was comfortable with my job. I was comfortable, going to work, making the money, doing the work and all of that stuff. And I knew I was passionate about real estate, and I knew I was going to do it on the side. But I would say, I'll do it in a year or two, or I'd do something big in a year or two, or, that's nice and fine, but I don't have the time for that. So then when I was fired, it really forced me to, to make those decisions and go head on. I think in life, if you have a security blanket, right? If you have a security blanket underneath you, then it's hard for you to go out and really test yourself. And in life, you need to be faced with those circumstances and adversity to where it's really, sink or swim. And most people do well when it's sink or swim. You know what I mean? So that's, what I was faced with regarding, my corporate America job,
Right. And I know we had talks in the past about, what you were actually feeling during that time,
Yeah.
even leading up to you, getting fired from your job, you were never at like a really really comfortable state mentally. You maybe have been comfortable, from a routine standpoint, like going to
Yeah.
work and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But mentally, your mind was always somewhere else because you weren't really, that wasn't where your passion was.
Right.
And what I'm guessing is when you went to work, it was apparent, other people could see it. They're like,
Right.
and I know you have, coworkers who are also somewhat friends, and
Yeah.
you would have conversations probably talking about, your real estate business and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, I can only imagine being a coworker of yours, being like, Tarek, just go for it, because you're so smart in like what you do and like what you really know. Like you take your time, you read. We were just talking before the podcast started. He reads. He's like, man, I kind of didn't wish I had to go cycling tomorrow because I wanted to read these books and blah blah blah.
Oh man.
And I'm like, man, when this podcast in, I'm getting on 2K. Like that's all I'm doing. But I wish I really did like to read. Just it is what it is. But because you do like to read, you're constantly getting new information.
Right.
And in our community, Black people, we really, it's one of those things that most Black people don't read. And it's a sad thing. I'm one of those people,
Mhm.
but it's a lost kind of hobby in our community. And I have books around my place, and I've tried to do my best to read those books. But I'm gonna be honest with you, like I think I probably read. This is kind of bad. I probably read one book from cover to cover my whole life.
Wow.
So just give y'all a perspective. Y'all may think whatever about me, but I'm the type of person where I figure it out. And I think that because we do have that athletic background of going through the struggle, going through pain, having to be disciplined,
Right.
having to keep showing up, coming back to something,
Even though
regardless
it's
of,
killing you.
yeah, regardless of my medium for consuming knowledge, how I get it, I'm going to get it because all I know is that I got to keep working until I get it.
Right.
Most people don't have that within them to say, I'm going to figure it out regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't like to read.
Mhm.
So you get people who just don't know anything.
Mhm.
And, me, I watch videos, that's I love videos, but I watch
Which
videos.
is another form of learning.
Yeah. And, I say I don't read books, but I still read, if that makes sense. Like
Knowledge.
for the stock market, I'm always reading articles, and I don't really count that as reading, but it really is. I probably read at least, if we had a textbook to compare it to, probably at least 20 pages from a textbook in just stock market material a day. So
Mhm.
I'm still reading, but I'm not getting that kind of narrative perspective from someone who say started a business and blah blah blah.
Yep.
But yeah, we talked a lot about how that emotional aspect, and I'm pretty sure you went through an emotional roller coaster while in that phase, and it seemed like for me it happened quick, mainly because I'm looking from the outside in. When
During the job.
like when you were having these kind of concerns and issues. So I remember you would come over and we'll talk about it. And I kind of know like, okay, Tarek really wants to, not do this.
Yeah.
But he's
yeah.
but he's doing it
Yeah.
because, he's making a really good, salary, especially for his age. Mind you, we did get college degrees and so forth, but we were not handed anything. I think that
Right.
oftentimes people will look at people like us and think that, we were spoon fed everything that we have. And the fact of the matter is we were just disciplined and we had a support system.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who grew up where I grew up, parents had money and they have not amounted to anything.
Right.
And-
Same.
And it's not because, they didn't have the opportunity or whatever. Everybody
Lack of
had,
drive.
it's the lack of drive, it's the lack of motivation. And I think regardless of, who you are, that quality is intangible. And you got to figure out how to motivate yourself, whether it's from watching a podcast or listening to a podcast like this. Hopefully we motivate you. But you got to figure it out regardless of what it is. You got to figure out how to motivate yourself on a daily basis. And it's going to be hard. There are days that I don't do anything. And I was actually talking to my girlfriend, Nay, about this. During this coronavirus pandemic, a lot of people are saying that, it's a great opportunity for you to start your own business, for you to be out there and, doing what you need to do to better yourself, etc. But my approach has always been a little bit different. To me, I think that mental health is the most important, throughout, because a lot of people have mental health issues and they can't necessarily explain them or kind of,
or even know what they are,
or
even
even
know that they have mental health problems.
exactly. So, for me to say, you need to take advantage of this time so that you can better yourself and this and that. I mean, it all depends on the person, because some people, that's not the best scenario. For certain people, the best scenario is to just step back and to kind of relax, maybe do what you do as far as a hobby. If you like to play video games, or if you like to, exercise, like to read books, then do that. But let the time pass. It's almost like when you're in jail. Like, I've never been to jail, but like if I were in jail, then I wouldn't be worried about, so much. I'll be trying to do my best to just kind of pass the time and keep my mind at a peaceful state. I know a lot of people are getting
You wouldn't have expectations.
exactly expectations, because a lot of people are falling in this trap of seeing people on social media
Yeah.
and thinking that they're behind because
Yeah.
everybody's doing all this stuff, or it looks like they're doing all this stuff,
Yeah.
and it's becoming detrimental to their development and mental health,
Right.
because they think that they're always behind because other people are doing so much. And 90% of the time it's a flex and it's a lie. Like, people, for the most part, there are some people who are really making big moves, and I applaud you for that. But there are a lot of people who really aren't doing what they're saying they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but they want to get the likes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But certain people look at that and they're like, dang, we're the same age and he already is doing this, or she is already doing this. He has that car, she has that car, and I haven't even, finished school or this or that. And for that, I just tell people, you know, sometimes you just got to unwind, uninstall social media, do what you need to do to get it all out of your mind, because that stuff really takes a toll on you, whether you believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my whole take on this is just step back and stop worrying about growth and worry about mental stability. What makes you feel at peace? Because money's not going to change your mental health. The only thing that's going to change your mental health is your perspective on life and where you are and how comfortable you feel in your own skin. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
Yeah.
So, and go ahead.
And talking about that, like that actually happened to me. I'm usually not the type of person to, compare and say, that person has this person has that. But there was this point in my life, actually in January, I was working on this real estate deal to put this development deal together. And I had an investor invest in the deal, and we were supposed to close. And then 3 days before I closed, he asked for his check back, right? And I didn't know what to do. I had to find another investor. But at that point, I was just, down on myself, feeling bad or whatever. And every time I would go on Instagram, I would see these people that, they're driving these nice cars, they have these big mansions or whatever. And I started to feel bad about myself. I don't usually feel bad about myself when I see that, because I know eventually, I'll be in a position to where I can do that. But to be so close to a goal of yours and to work hard for it and then not have it. And then you go on Instagram and you see people who are, doing, have all these luxuries and being able to do what they want in life. I really had to, get off Instagram. Like, I was still working on the deal. I had to find another investor. And I said, I can't do this. Every time I go on Instagram, I get like, dejected. I get sad. So, I logged out of my Instagram, didn't go on it for a full month, maybe like 6 weeks or something like that. And then when I got back on it, I had all these messages like, hey, where'd you go? You're not on Instagram, blah this and blah that. But, I just really had to unplug, unwind, and, focus on myself. And so, it's really important to focus on you as a person and don't really compare yourself to other people, because, people progress and they mature and they evolve in different formats in different ways. You know what I mean? Not everyone, does the same thing at the same age at, same month and, all that stuff, It's so, just focus on yourself, focus on your goals, focus on your wishes, your wants, and it will happen as long as you put the time and the effort into it. But it's not going to happen if you keep on comparing yourself and saying, well, Floyd's got this amount of money invested in the stock market. Why am I not there? Well, that's because, Floyd really focused on his craft, and, he focused on reading the articles and, studying the charts and all that stuff. He focused on that. He wasn't really focused on, what I was doing or what someone else was doing. So it'll come as long as you're focused on yourself and you can't really compare yourself.
Yeah. And I think also too is we do a lot of things just because we're disciplined enough to do it. Like for me, working out, I really don't care about the gains at this point of working out or anything like that. But it's more so when you prove to yourself that you can be disciplined to do something, it really, really translates into other forms of, productivity for whatever you're trying to do. So like the fact that I can work out every day, at this time, every day, means that I can also read an article at this time every day.
Mm-hmm.
And, everything is so, it's a mental thing, and it's such a mental thing that I don't think people really truly understand that. But once you really know yourself and understand that the mental aspect behind this is really the only thing that's important, you start to look at things differently because, I've known you for a while, and I've known that you've gone through some really, really, crazy things and stuff that a lot of people would just give up, like literally just give up. And, it's just a testament to the type of person you are. Like you look at where you are right now, and congratulations, you just closed on a huge development opportunity, a huge deal, project funded, and the project's worth like what, $500,000 something?
Once it's said and done, it'll be about 2.1, 2.2 million of real estate developed.
So 2.1 to 2.2 million in real estate developed. And mind you, you got fired a year ago?
A year ago, yeah. So it's actually kind of funny. So I got fired August 24th, and then I set the August 24th, 2019, and I set the closing for this deal on August 24th, 2020. So I signed that deal. I closed on it exactly a year from when I got fired.
See, it just goes to show you that.
But it took a long time to get there.
Yes.
It took 3 deals, 2 failed deals in order to get there.
I guarantee you, most people would have quit after the first deal and went to go look for another job. Yeah. I promise you. You guys do not understand what this guy has literally been through, even before, him getting, fired. And to me, it's motivating because literally, he has a support system. He has family. He has his mom. His mom is a wonderful woman. She's really done what I believe is an amazing job. I don't think there are a lot of women out there that are as powerful and as strong as your mom. Like your mom, she has this aura about her. Like when you see Miss Linda, you're like, in one sense you're like, oh shit. In the other sense you're like,
yeah,
what a incredible woman. And
I get a lot of qualities from her.
Yeah. But if you're watching this, Miss Linda, how you doing? But yeah, a lot of it goes, it's a testament to how strong of a woman she is and everything that she's done, and how she makes sure that you've always kept the right mental aspect.
Yeah.
When it comes to all these things, and you talk to me about all the stuff that you guys talk about. And it's truly remarkable to me because you guys have a really, really open, relationship when it comes to, just every subject. And I hope that, more people could have that relationship with their parents or, but, yeah, I just think that, it's amazing, how quickly things can change for the better, how quickly they can change for the worse.
Yeah.
And it's just like the stock market, but even worse because you're like, this is your life. Like this is your livelihood. And that's why I say people like you, people like me who can weather the storm, whether it's good or bad, not get too high, not get too low, are the people who are going to really come out on top because you have that mental strength. And if you can't do anything as far as, if you feel unmotivated to do this or to do that, I think that it is very important that you start to really prioritize your mental health, your mental strength, because it's one of those things where people really take it for granted and they start to look at everything around them and stop really focusing on what's in here and what's in here. And I'm pointing at my heart and pointing at my brain because there's so much influence
And
that's
it just festers and it just deteriorates, you know, it just eats you from the inside out.
it can be like a disease.
Yeah.
Like, you see somebody buy a new car on Instagram, and then all of a sudden you feel like shit.
Yeah. And then also not talking about, objects like cars and homes, but also with, women, if they see, this one girl, body looks good, hair looks good, nails look good, and they start feeling bad about their own physical appearance. It's really, it could be a problem. You know what I mean? You have to be comfortable with yourself, love yourself and realize the value that you have before, you start thinking about, she looks super pretty, but I look like crap. You know what I mean? It could really mess up your confidence,
Exactly. And especially if you're still, developing like physically, like you'll always be developing mentally, in my opinion. I don't
Yeah.
think that ever stops.
Yeah.
But physically, if you're in middle school, high school, even college, I grew an inch since I've graduated college, which is interesting. And I wish I would have had that inch, when
In
I
college.
needed it.
Yeah.
But I guess thanks God. But but it's one of those, kind of things where if you it takes a while. For one, it doesn't happen overnight. You don't just automatically wake up and be like, wow, I'm satisfied with what I look like. I'm satisfied with this or that.
Right.
Everybody has that something about them that they just wish was different.
Right.
No matter what it is, it could be maybe you got a big forehead, or maybe you're short.
Height. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe yeah, it could be anything.
Big
But
nose.
yeah, exactly. But and to be honest, those are some of the hardest things to overcome as a person, because a lot of people don't even look at that when they look at a person. Like, let's say, Tarek, you have a insecurity about, I don't know, your toes are too big or something.
Right.
I guarantee you, 99.9% of the world does not care about what Tarek's toes looks like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or if Tarek has small ears or whatever. But we plant these depictions in our head of what people are thinking about us all the time. And we're constantly driving ourselves crazy, for stuff that we really shouldn't be really focused on. But it's a human thing to, be worried about what other people think. And people tend to say, I don't care about what so-and-so thinks or whatever. But
They go home.
that's
and they look
so
in the mirror.
that's a
Yeah.
lie. Like, everybody, like even I care what people think. Because if you didn't care what people think, then you really just think about it. You would not do anything. Like, if you didn't care what anybody think, like you literally would not do anything. You wouldn't brush your teeth. You wouldn't go get a haircut.
Shower,
You
deodorant.
you wouldn't shower. You wouldn't do anything. You would just be a caveman because you don't care. And I don't know too many cavemen, even bums. Like, you think about people that you grew up with that, potentially became a bum. And by bum, I just mean somebody who has opportunity but is not using it because they're just lazy. You know what I mean? Not saying bum as in,
Homeless person.
yeah, homeless person, obviously, but just throwing that out there. If you have the opportunity and you're not using it and you're taking advantage of someone else's time, and inconveniencing someone else, that's what I, call someone who is a bum. People like that, they're still getting haircuts. They're still, taking care of themselves for the most part. But how do I put it? A lot of people in that situation say, "Oh, I don't care what people think. I'm working at my own pace. This is that and the third." But you still care. Like, if you didn't care, you wouldn't. Like I said, you wouldn't be doing anything. Like, you'll be a bum with literally no haircut, no Jordans, no nothing. You know what I mean? But most of these bums, they're still going in the clubs and they have new J's and everything else.
Yeah.
So, I guess what do you think? It's I don't know. I guess it all ties into, being mentally in a place where you can, be disciplined enough to do what you need to do to be, productive. But
Yeah. And also loving yourself. I think that you just got to love yourself. You have to know what value you bring to friendships, what value you bring to a relationship, know what value you bring to, your workplace or your business, and just, know that that is you. You're not, someone who lacks, but you're someone that has, and once you really get to truly love yourself for whatever you can do, And that's when you'll really be happy, and you won't necessarily care, about someone else having this, or you'll still care about your physical appearance, but it won't be such a major deal. Like, I got long finger or long fingers. I mean, at the end of the day, that's very trivial.
Yeah, and I think that majority of the people, in the world are still working on it. So like, although you may be giving that advice, you yourself may still be working at, trying to become that version of you where you only care about, what separates you from the masses. You know what I mean? Like we still, even me, I'm still growing. Like I'm not perfect. I still, feel down on myself sometimes when I see certain things on social media or whatever. Like, oh damn, I'm 25 and this guy is 18 or whatever with this and that. Every now and then it does get to you. So like, although we are giving you guys this advice, take it as we are still growing as well, and it is a process. So don't feel that we've got it all figured out and we're walking into every situation just confident, confidence oozing out the ears and out the, out the butt. It's a process, but I think we've both gotten to the point where when we walk into a room, people know that we're confident and we know our stuff. But for you to even get to that point, it takes time.
Correct.
So I guess we can switch gears just a little bit. You are a real estate expert, in my opinion. What do you think about, I guess, real estate investing versus stock market investing? Like what, I guess people tend to ask me, do you do real estate as well, or do you just do stock market? And I have an opinion on both, but what is your opinion on the, both?
Yeah, so both are investing. Both you can make, large sums of money. You can lose large sums of money as well. Me, I didn't necessarily like sit down and choose real estate. I wasn't like, stock market or real estate. I kind of just fell into it. But I see now why I love real estate is because I'm a control freak. Like I like to control things. I like to control situations. And when you are actively investing in real estate, you can control your investment to a much more larger degree than in the stock market. In the stock market, if a company goes bankrupt and you're invested in that stock, you can't really do anything. You can't call the CEO and say, hey, I got a friend who will buy the company, sell it to this guy, or say, hey, how about you add this product line or whatever. You can't really do that when you're investing in stocks. When you're investing in real estate, you can do that. You can control the situation, and you just have more of a level of control. So that's what I think about the difference between real estate and stock market. And also, I would say that, both have a lot of information. Both you need to like read up on it before you make your first investment or whatnot. But there's a lot more ways you have way more options in real estate than in the stock market. So for example, if you buy stock, right, you only really have an option to buy or sell, buy more or sell, right? If it goes up, you could sell. If it goes down and you need the money, you got to sell it, right? Sell it for a loss. In real estate, if things aren't going well, you could owner finance, you could rent it out, you can, refinance. Since if the interest rates are lower, you could refinance. There's so many different options. That exit strategies is what I'm getting to. There's so many different extra strategies with real estate than stock market. So, if things aren't going good, you can be sort of creative on how to finesse and weasel your way out of a situation if it's not going well. That's kind of why I like real estate. And I like to actually physically see what I'm investing in. When you're investing in real estate, you can touch the walls, you can, see it, you can go there every single day, you could live in it. And when that's something that you can't necessarily do with stocks. Stocks is, pretty much just paper, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's what I see some of the differences between stocks and real estate. And that's kind of why I like investing in real estate.
Okay. So interesting. He gave no pros about the stock market.
But both are, like I said, both are investments. So both are super, super good. when I invest in the stock, I'm not right now, but when I was, I didn't know what to do. I called Xavier up and I said, "Hey, what stock should I get?" He told me what stocks to get. Made some decent money, made some real good money off of it. But I guess I would say that I don't know much about the stock market. Like if you said, "Hey, Tarek, what company should I get?" I can't answer that question. You know what I mean? I can't look at a graph and see, okay, buy it at this price and this price is too low or just too high if you get it at this price. Like I'm not savvy enough to make those type of decisions. So I just call up on Xavier to help me out. But both are good. Both are investments, you can make money and lose money in both, but yeah.
I think so here's the thing. I like both, and I think you like both as well, but you just know more about the other because we talk about both pretty often. So for real estate, like you said, I feel like you do have more control over it, but both are still a risk because anything could happen. And like you said, exit strategies. I feel that there is possibly more exit strategies with real estate, like the ones you mentioned. There are some exit strategies that are unique, are kind of, for the stock market. That's not just, buy or sell. I mean, you could like hedge positions so that, let's say you buy stock in this company and it starts, right when you buy it, let's say you buy some put options as well, just in case it goes down, then you kind of,
right.
You can do certain stuff like that. But I think for the most part, the reason why I chose the stock market was because I knew that it was far more passive than real estate up front. So the fact that I can literally download an app and then deposit $100 into a stock, not even leave my bed. I can be in my underwear. And, to me, that's where I saw the value because I'm like, if my money is active when I'm inactive, that's the best case scenario. As far as real estate, I like real estate for all the reasons that you expressed. And we even talked about this a little bit. Once you start getting your real estate, kind of snowballing and you're doing bigger and bigger deals, more development, all that kind of stuff, the money that you make off of it, of course, is going to be reinvested into more real estate,
right,
but also is going to be invested into the stock market so that your money is never idle.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing. So like both give you the opportunity to make money passively, but the stock market could be more risk depending on who you are and what you decide to invest in, because it's not like you control anything with the stock market. It's literally you're doing your research and hoping that your research proves you right.
Right.
And with real estate, you can negotiate. I can't negotiate a stock price. I can't tell you I want to buy the stock at this. And if you say, I can't give you that stock at this, then I can't say anything about that. I just, it is what it is. But, if you want to acquire a property at a certain price, then you have all the, the power to say, I'm not buying it until, you come down to this or whatever. So I think that the stock market is for everyone. No matter how busy of a person you are, I think that, you can definitely get your feet wet in it in some way, shape, or form. There are index funds that you can put your money in that don't require a lot of research at all. There are, funds that don't have a particular lot of growth, but are better than what the bank's offering, historically.
Right.
So there are those options. But as far as real estate investing, we've always been taught, or at least I have, that until you really own something, you don't have anything. You know what I mean? So the fact that real estate has always been the kind of most, what's the word? Kind of
creators of wealth.
Exactly. Yeah. Creators, generators of wealth. For instance, if you didn't have any money in your bank account, but you own 50 properties, everyone will look at you as if you are rich, because you truly are. Because whether
your
you
bank account are the properties.
Exactly. Whether you have $100,000 in the bank account, or if you have a property worth $100,000, it's the same thing. But the good thing about the real estate is the value of that property is likely going to go up, and it's going to appreciate much faster than a dollar would, and a dollar is probably going to even depreciate.
Yeah.
So let's say you buy a property today for $500,000, in 10 years, that property could be worth $750,000.
Right.
But if you were to keep $500,000 in your bank account or your savings account, and then 10 years later, that $500,000 could be worth, $420,000. So you actually lost 80,000.
Right.
So that's where you really start to understand. And Tyrick, we were actually talking about the deal that you're doing now, and you're like, I'm gonna, basically, flip these, develop these, and I could even live in one of the places that I developed.
Yeah.
And then you were asking me, yo, Floyd, would you go ahead and live in one, or would you, just sell all of them?
Yeah.
And we had a conversation, and I was like, basically, you can't lose either way, because if you end up living in one that you develop instead of selling it, when you're living in it, first off, you're living for free.
Yeah.
Second of all, when you sell it, you're probably going to end up selling it for either the price that you were asking for it or even more, because the value of the property is going to appreciate, even though the house or whatever has been lived in and it's technically used. So that's what's different about real estate than kind of any other thing. Like, you buy a car and you're not going to be able to sell that car for more than what you bought it for, unless it's like some kind of classic, Lamborghini, good, whatever, Murcielago or something like that. Stuff generally depreciates, other than real estate.
Right.
So,
and then also going to the reason why it appreciates, or one reason why it appreciates, is that, the population of the world keeps on increasing, and, land is a finite material. You can't create any more land. You can, of course, develop on land, but, if the population of a city like Houston keeps on increasing and nobody builds, right, it's supply and demand. There's going to be more demand than supply, therefore prices go up. You know what I mean? So that's, the beauty of real estate is that, it's a necessity. People need a roof over their heads, they need a place to stay, they need a place to, work and all that stuff. So it's a necessity. So as the population increases, there's going to be more demand for real estate.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, because it's rare that you meet an investor that does only one form of investing, because investing, it's one of those things that there's some fanboys of like different things, right? There's some people that fanboy over Xbox or PlayStation, but when you're in the business of making money, you can really care less about about how you get it, as long as it's legal, of course, and that there's some kind of science to it that you can repeat. And for real estate, there's obviously a science that you can
formula, different strategies, multiple strategies.
And for, the stock market, it's the same. And regardless of what kind of platform or whatever you decide to invest in, real estate, it could be, investing in a company or something, your own company. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything like that. There has to be a certain level of risk associated to it. And this guy right here is by far the most risky person that I've ever met in my entire life. He is willing to put his money where his mouth is all the time. And, I'm trying to be more like you in that aspect. People think that the stock market is scary. Just have a conversation with this guy. And, he's literally, let's put it like this. If he had 10 grand in his account, he would be willing to basically put 9,000 of it up on an investment.
Well, that's what I did. I had 10,000. I said, "Hey, Floyd, I want to invest 5,000." And this was like my last 10,000, or this is my last chunk of money at the time. He was like, "I want to invest in the stock market," and I put in the stock market. I turned 5 into 9,000 in 8 months. So it worked out well.
Yeah. So like, that's just the kind of person he is. Most people are not that way, and it's okay to not be that way. But I do give Tyrick this. He knows his stuff. And like, what he doesn't know, he seeks the knowledge. So like, as far as the stock market, Tyrick, he would always come to me and ask, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'm by no means an expert, but, I do know, some stuff, by now, or at least I should know some stuff.
He's my expert.
But, we complement each other well, because I've never done real estate like you have. Like, you've literally owned your company since you were 21, and you've done a whole, like, you guys should see his first project. His
Mm-hmm.
first project was something that even, skilled real estate investors of many, many years have looked at and said, I can't believe this is your first project.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would have never taken on something this big. Actually, explain your first project, because that'll be a good one for people to hit on. Then we can get more into risk and how, you got to take risks.
Yeah, so the first major project I did, the first investment in real estate I did, I was like 21. It was pretty simple. It was super passive. So this is kind of a way of real estate and stock market kind of being similar whereas passive. So anyway, I purchased a note. So I interned for this real estate investor, and he was essentially the bank for this lady. She this is not the deal for what it was telling you about, but this is a deal that's very interesting, similar to the stock market, to where he was essentially the bank. So she was paying her mortgage to him every single month. And so what I did was I purchased the balance of her mortgage from him. So now I own the mortgage and she's paying me monthly for her mortgage. So once it's done, after the amortization is up, she owns her house free and clear. But if she missed a payment, then I could foreclose on her and take the property away. So that's very similar to passive investing in the real estate, kind of like the stocks. You can buy mortgage notes, and you could essentially be the bank. People pay you a mortgage. If they default, then you can take it away. But the project that Xavier's talking about, the second one, I got that when I was 23. Yeah, I bought it when I was 23. I wanted income producing property, and it was 2018 at the time, and the market was hot, and I just couldn't find anything at a reasonable price. I just couldn't find anything at a reasonable price. So I saw this duplex, and the duplex looked nice on the outside, but the inside looked like complete shit. Like, there was no AC. It was built in the 30s, so it hadn't been renovated since the 30s. So it had no AC, new electric. I had to do new electrical, new plumbing. I mean, when I walked in, it literally looked like a tornado came through. And I walked in and I looked at it for 10 minutes and I said I wanted it, and I bought it, and I fixed it up. I put about 150,000 into it, which is more than looking back on it. I mean, you always keep on learning. You keep on, learn from your experiences. If I knew what I did now, I wouldn't have put that much amount into it. But I renovated it and did everything new. I did new sheetrock, new ACs, new bathrooms. Each unit was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath when I purchased it, and I made each unit a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It had 2 stairwells, so I took out 1 stairwell and extended the kitchen because the kitchen was pretty small, and the kitchen was right in front of the stairwell. So when I took out the stairwell, I could extend the kitchen back. So now the kitchen is much bigger than what it was. New plumbing, new electrical, new sheetrock, new baseboards, all new. Yeah, new towel, refinished the hardwood floors, and then I didn't sell it, so it's kind of like I flipped it, but I held it, and then now it's a rental property that I own, and now it's leased out and whatnot. So that was the first major renovation that I did, which was a pretty major renovation. I mean, it was a duplex, like 2,600 square feet, 2,700 square feet, and that was my first time renovating anything, and I just renovated it.
Let's talk about the balls you had to have. No, because think about it. First off, the area that he bought it is basically, in the third ward, Houston area, which is, an area where real estate is expensive, and it's very close to downtown. So the area is, always being sought out by investors and people who want to live there. If you're from Houston, do you know that, Third Ward, has really nice parts and it has parts that are still,
pockets.
It has pockets. It has pockets. So even, my old coach, Carl Lewis, he lives in Third Ward.
I didn't know that.
And, there are a lot of people that have a lot of money, like doctors, lawyers, that live in Third Ward and love it there because of the location. So, the fact that your first ever renovation looked like it was hit by a tornado. It was a duplex. You had to do new electrical, new plumbing, all these things. And I remember uh, being on Instagram and just looking at it from the outside in,
Yeah.
you would post, the pavement of the driveway and the painting and the
Yeah.
before and after pictures. And it was just like, that's crazy how, I wouldn't have thought that was your first project if I just looked at your,
Yeah.
your Monopoly Development
Yeah.
Instagram and
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
And also, the way you do business is very professional. Like I think that, professionalism is becoming somewhat of a lost art. A lot of people want to cut corners when it comes to how you conduct business, and they just want to get into the money making. You know what I mean? But in order for you to attract a certain, demographic, people who actually have money to, invest and help you do projects, you have to have some level of professionalism that is that will separate you from, from others.
Yeah.
And everything that you do is very, very professional. Like you couldn't tell that it's this 25, 26 year old. You're 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this 25-year-old guy. It looks like someone who's been doing it for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you were going to speak on something, as I was going through it.
Yeah, being professional is super major. I mean, I think it's from us being in the corporate world, from the job that I did, you have to be super professional. It's because you're working with major Fortune 500 clients and you're working really with the directors and CTOs and CFOs of the company. So you have to be very professional when you're writing these emails and whatnot, because it's going to go to director or CFO of a Fortune 500 or 100 company. So I learned how to be super professional from work, and that just translated into real estate or my own business. But yeah, I've seen people who are not professional. They'll send text messages out, so they'll send emails out, and words are misplaced. They don't put the parentheses, no period, no thank you or whatever. And it definitely shows. It's like, why would, and real estate is such a capital intensive industry. So it's like, if you don't have the decency to put a period, but you're asking me for, $10,000-$20,000 or whatever, what makes you think that I want to, you know what I mean? So it's
Exactly.
definitely how you present yourself, how you talk, how you, what you exude and whatnot. It definitely shows. Definitely shows. But yeah, it's definitely important to be professional. That's just anything in life, because impressions are everything. And exactly in how you enunciate your words and how you compose your text message or messages, people judge you by that. And I'm always like, okay, well, yeah, I am 25 or I'm doing this, will this person, like, I'm always conscious when it comes with lenders, like, lenders, they're lending, hundreds of $1,000s to me. And I always feel like, shit, if they knew I'm a 25-year-old, are they going to lend to me? So I'm always like, being super professional. That way they can think that, maybe I'm this, 40-year-old guy who's been doing this for years. So I'm very cognizant, very, certain on my professionalism, because I kind of have a chip on my shoulder if I'm a young dude. You know what I mean?
Not even that. You're also young and black. Like,
Yeah, that too.
Let's not, let's be real. Like,
Yeah.
If the fact that you are young and black, it means that you have to be professional. You have to be better. You have to know your shit.
We can talk about the last time I was over at your house. Remember when I was getting freaked out about the lender?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I didn't update you on that. So anyway, on this deal that I was working on now, this lender was lending me a large sum of money, like $590,000.
Like 590,000.
Yeah, he was lending, the loan amount was for $590.
That's nothing, man. I'm kidding.
And this one is a major project. It's a major project, and so I have an attorney, so my attorney is reviewing all the documents and whatnot, and so I'm super professional. I say, hey, whenever the closing docs are finalized, can you send it to my attorney and CC it to me? And I don't think he knew how old I was at that time, but if I'm having an attorney, he probably wouldn't think, oh, this is a 25-year-old black guy. You know what I mean? But anyway, the moral of the story was that he added me on Facebook. So I was over at Floyd's house maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was like, Xavier, like, I'm super nervous. Like, he's gonna look at my Facebook. He's gonna see, I'm this 25-year-old black guy. He's gonna maybe think I'm a kid. Maybe he's gonna renege on the deal and not close the deal. And I need this deal to close. I was just freaking out. You know what I mean? And actually, it turned out pretty well. The guy is young himself. He's 35, so he's just 10 years older than me. But he paid me a really, really good compliment. I could kind of find it. Actually, let me find it. Just give me 1 second. I can find it real quick.
But what's interesting is that, the fact that you even have to be concerned about that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
most people would only have to be, I guess, somewhat self-conscious of their age and experience. But the element that you are black, and it is an industry that it's not really, dominated by, minorities.
Yeah.
It's almost one of those things where you were so kind of worked up about it because you knew that the emotional aspect of investing with someone is just as important as the professional aspect.
Yeah.
And it's like, basically almost $600,000. Would you give someone $600,000 if you weren't completely comfortable with the situation?
Hell no.
Exactly. But I think you were looking for the messages or something. That he pulled.
So he paid me a compliment. Let me pull it up real quick. Let's see.
But that just goes to show you, this guy is a legit good person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for real.
That didn't even cross his mind. That you were, and your work spoke for itself. So like that's what I was telling Tarek. I'm like, if he isn't, someone who looks at something that we can't control by being black, then he will look past that because he knows that you've only had positive interactions working from a professional standpoint.
Yeah. So after the deal closed and funded, he said, "Hey, buddy, it's Andrew. Just wanted to drop you a note and let you know it was a pleasure closing this deal with you. Excited to see the transformation of the property and excited to do more deals with you in the future. Deals with smart and professional investors are super fun for us." And this is the lender who's texting me, and not like someone who works for the lender, but this is actually the person who owns the lending company who's lending me money to do this deal. So it was really nice when he sent me that because I was over here freaking out, and he's over here saying, "Wow, paying me all these compliments." So yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely I'm glad he's actually young because like when you are both young, it's like, okay, I've done all this and I know it's possible for someone young to also do all this as well.
Right.
Now, the older generation may feel more skeptical, not even considering race. You know what I mean? Just saying, hey, this guy is only 25. He's on his, fifth, sixth major project.
Yeah.
Do I really want to give him, $500,000, because, that's no chump change by any means. A lot of people don't even make $500,000 in their lifetime, So the fact that, and I'm over here making them nervous now about the project. No, I'm kidding. No, but like I said, Tarek, he's the type of person that steps up to the challenge. And, if anything, it excites him more that, there's more money involved. But I tell people this as well. No matter how much money is involved with an investment, it all comes down to, did you do your homework enough and can you execute? Because regardless, like in the stock market, if you have a $1 million portfolio, that's fine and all. But if you have a $100 portfolio, the investment process is the exact same.
Same, yeah.
So if you can, make 50% in the $100 portfolio, those same investments will make you 50% in the $1 million portfolio.
Yep.
So if anything, it's more of a psychological thing where you have to understand that the money is just the money. It's all numbers. It's the project that's, the important thing, regardless of how much you're making or how much you're, investing. Yeah, you have to make sure that the project is the important thing and you don't get wrapped up in, the money.
Yep.
But as far as, your journey from where you were just, maybe a year and a half ago till now, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, what do you think is in your future if you keep going the way you're going?
You want to be general or you want to be specific? Because I plan out to like the T, so I know exactly where I want to be at in 5 years. Like where I want to be in business.
So like right now, you
Yeah.
have this, $500,000 project. Well, actually, $2.2 million project if you
Yeah.
want to, because you have this $2.2 million project.
Yeah.
In 5 years, where do you think your scaling would be, or where's your goal at as far as scaling? Because 2.2 million, that's a feat in its own right.
Yeah.
Like, are we
Yeah.
talking 25 million, 50 million? Because I know development is where your passion is.
Yeah. So regarding where I want to be at in 5 years, I actually have a 5 year plan. So I do development. Name of my company is Monopoly Development. After this project, I want to do, so I specialize in urban infill development, which is inner city within the 610 loop townhomes, stacking townhomes on small lots, stuff like that. I want to do a couple more of those projects, and then I want to do commercial development. So maybe do, after this project, maybe do one or two more townhome developments, and then roll that money over, do commercial projects where I'm building like, a 16 to 32 unit apartment complex, do a couple of those, and then do like strip centers or, develop, like a Zaxby's or Whataburger and rent it out to them. But like in 5 years, what I want to do in real estate is I'll have Monopoly Development, which will develop properties for sale. And then I want to start another company where I hold properties. So like Monopoly Properties, just for an example, and where I'm acquiring commercial properties to hold for myself. And then I want to start up another business that's kind of like real estate private equity, to where you take advantage of distressed real estate and then you flip it for a profit. So pretty much like flipping homes, but instead it's like an apartment complex. So say if you buy this, 16 unit apartment complex, it's 40% occupied, right? Hasn't been renovated since, the 50s or the 60s. Purchase it for, on the cheap since it's distressed, renovate it, improve the occupancy, improve the looks, improve, the interior and exterior characteristics of it, and then get the occupancy up and then sell it. Because when you do a commercial real estate, the only thing that factors commercial real estate prices is the rent that you derive from it. So if you can bump up rents to, 90, 95%, that means that your property is worth more. So then you can just sell it and sell it for a profit. I'll do that with, strip centers that are, distressed, and apartment complexes. Apartment complexes are kind of the easy ones that you can do and do that. So it's kind of like 3-tiered. So Monopoly Development, do the development, Monopoly Properties, where I hold my properties, and then Monopoly Equity, where I am pretty much flipping commercial property for a profit.
What's interesting is I was doing some research on like commercial real estate, and like let's say you have a property for, like you said, a Whataburger or some kind of chain, or it could be anything.
Yep.
Some companies won't basically let you know how much money they're making from their property, and some companies will. So like, let's say, you have a Whataburger and you own the property and you're leasing it out to them, and they're making, let's say, $6 million a year
From doing their Whataburger
doing
activities.
Whataburger stuff. And then you have a Arby's that, is also, you're leasing out to them, and they're making, 16 million. We know Arby's isn't, beating Whataburger,
Right.
but at least over in Texas.
Hey, the
But-
curly fries are good though.
Based on the curly fries, maybe, I don't know. But, let's say that, Whataburger is allowing you, as, the landlord, insight on how much profit they're making.
Mm-hmm.
And that influences, kind of the rent, right? Because how much money they're bringing in,
Right.
and et cetera. And let's say Arby's, who's making 16 million, is not giving you insight on how much they're making.
Right.
So the reason why this is a big deal when they allow you to have insight is because, let's say the company is actually losing money. If the company is losing money, then there is a risk that they could ultimately,
Default on the lease.
default on a lease.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're a landlord and you have control on, looks like this camera shut off again. But oh my goodness, this podcast is terrible.
Technical difficulties, people.
Technical difficulties. You heard it first. We're gonna put the camera on Tarek, but I'm gonna keep talking.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, just go ahead and smile at the people. But like I said, the fact that you do get to have insight to certain companies, to me, it would be a good investment strategy to work with companies that allow you that, because if you don't, and let's say a company is struggling, you don't want to have to worry about it's almost like when you have a regular, rental property, a single family home,
They lose their job.
yeah, they lose their job. You want to know that so that you can start preparing yourself to either having to cover those, those months until,
Start to look for someone else.
exactly,
Yeah.
or start to look for someone else. If you have absolutely no, notice, then it could destroy you as a, landlord slash, property holder.
Yep.
So, there's a lot that goes into it, and I've been doing a little bit of research, but I'm sure you know a lot of that as well.
Fun fact: grocery chains, grocery stores, they usually have a percentage of the rent. So, like, they'll say if you own the building that Whole Foods or Kroger or HEB is in the lease, HEB will pay the landlord a specific amount of money each month in rent. But then they also do like 2 to 3% of sales over a certain amount. So, say if that limit is $5 million in sales a month, anything over, then the landlord would get 2 to 3%, whatever you agree upon over that. So say if HEB sells $6 million of food in a month, right, and that limit is $5 million, well then the landlord would be inclined to 2% of that $1 million. So that's a lot of retail leases are structured that way, which is pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah, so we got ACAM back working again. Hopefully I'm looking nice and beautiful in my bummy outfit. Support the troops, go Army. But yeah, there's so much that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want people to understand is that you will never have all the answers.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to get started in some way, shape, or form, regardless if you're trying to do real estate, stock market, or, start your own business.
Yep.
It's trial and error. And like you said, your first project, you wish you wouldn't have done certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's hindsight. Everything looks,
Never going to do anything perfect the first time.
Exactly. And you're probably going to lose money the first go round.
Yeah.
And if you do make money, just look at it that way. Hey, I made some money. But if you lose money, then look at it as, hey, okay, I learned the process.
Yeah.
And, you have to just keep pushing, keep going forward. And, knowledge is always going to be power. No matter how much money you have or how much money you don't have, knowledge is something that's going to separate you from, being where you are today as opposed to where you are tomorrow. If I give you $5 million today and you lack knowledge, that money just going to, trickle down, and you're not going to have that money. But if you have the knowledge, and let's say I give you $10 today, I guarantee
Yeah.
that $10 is going to, become
Yeah.
$100 and then $1,000.
Yeah.
So, that's just kind of my viewpoint of, anything.
Mm-hmm.
Start with this. Start with your noggin, your brain,
Mm-hmm.
and try to stay motivated as much as you can. But yeah, what's been your experience like with as far as just intaking the knowledge and trying your best to become an expert?
Yeah, well, knowledge is power. That was actually I went to KIP Academy Middle School, and it stands for Knowledge is Power program. Kind of cliche, but yeah, knowledge is power. I say knowledge is power, but also just being like insanely curious. Like, if anyone knows me, like, I ask like a shit ton of questions. Like, even on basic conversations, people would be like repeating their day, be like, yeah, well, I got off work and my manager was yelling at me. Oh, what'd you do? What'd the manager say? I just asked a shit ton of questions. But that's because, when you ask questions, you're getting more knowledge, so you can better, even when you're having a conversation, like that simple conversation, you're more inclined to decipher the conversation or what your manager was going on based off the questions that you ask. So when it comes to, knowledge, One, be very curious on everything. I'm curious on finances, but I think finance is like a language. So the more that you understand it, the better that you'll be able to speak it. But question everything. Question, why is your salary the way it is? If you're commission, why is the commission structured set up the way it is? Why is your lease set up this way? Question just everything, and then research it and see, hey, why is it this way? Why is it that I'm getting only a small percentage raise compared to everyone else, or compared to last year? What is last year? And when you ask these questions, you're better. You'll be able to understand the situation that you're in now, but then in the future, it'll provide information. It'll provide more a better understanding of whatever happens in the future. So yeah, definitely knowledge is everything. And going to knowledge is like, in this world that we live in, money is a tool. Money is definitely a tool, but knowledge is more important than money.
Yes.
Knowledge is more important than money. Not a lot of people realize that, but knowledge is more important than money. If you have money, then you could, pay your way to do things and do that and all that stuff. But if you have knowledge, you can make money from nothing if you have knowledge. Like, right, that $10 scenario that you said, like, people have started companies off of $10. You know what I mean? Like, Amazon was started in a garage. I don't know how much money he had, but I'm sure I don't even think it was like even $1,000. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you have that knowledge, you can do whatever you want in the world. So knowledge is very important, and just be, insatiably curious, and just, question everything.
Yeah, and I just want to also, piggyback on that and say, you don't have to have all the knowledge. You just need to have enough knowledge to get started.
Yeah.
And then there's the two ways you can get knowledge. There's one from actively seeking it through, through, whatever medium, through books or, podcasts like this, or, anything, YouTube videos, etc. But there's the element of experience, right? Of actually going through it.
Right.
That's you can't get until you decide, hey, I want to jump in knees deep and, try it.
Yeah.
So don't get what they say, analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Go for it, and fill it up.
And I'll piggyback off of that. Yeah, you get a lot of knowledge with the experience as well. Even right now, I'm going through a problem with the tenant of mine, and yeah, I made some mistakes, but through those experiences and through the situations that I'm going with, I'll be way more smarter in the future when it comes to tenant landlord situations, right? And that's because I'm dealing with the situation right now. A tenant not paying their rent, have to go and evict them and blah that. And wouldn't want to be dealing with this right now, but I'm kind of happy that I am dealing with this right now, because I would rather deal with this on a duplex of mine rather than dealing with it in the future on a strip center or whatever, where the where the magnitude is a lot more bigger, right? So that experience that I'm learning right now, will help me in the future to become a better landlord, better investor, and provide better returns. So but I know a lot of people that they say they want to do this, they say they want to do that, and they'll just read, and they'll
Yep.
Go to mentors and seek out everything, and it's like there's some people who just jump in and do it and don't even read, don't even seek out information, but they figure it out, and they're doing light years better than the person who's sitting on the couch reading all these Harvard encyclopedia, Harvard case studies, reading it with the comb tooth and some, you know what I mean? Like, there's people out there doing it, and they're learning a lot more than the person who's in the book inside reading and all that stuff. Reading is good and all that stuff, but eventually you have to pull the trigger, because you're never going to know everything, but you just need to know what you need to know in order to get started.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people who know the stock market better than I do and have not invested one penny into the market because they are feeling that they still are, and then they're not an expert.
Right.
I don't understand the idea of an expert. To me, I call you an expert because you know far more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to say I wouldn't
In real estate. Yeah.
But for me to say that I would not start a project because I don't know what you know
Mm-hmm.
means that I will never start a project because I will never know what you know because the knowledge gap I can only catch up to you by doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I could, watch on TV. There's nothing I can read to get what you have right now. And just as the people who are looking from the outside in with the stock market, let's say you've been tracking the stock market for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I've been in the stock market for 2.5 years and you haven't made a single purchase
Mm-hmm.
means that I probably have greater knowledge of the market than you do simply because I've been doing it.
Right.
It's like, a basketball player or a sports athlete. If you're actually doing the work and, going to practice and, seeing gains and competing at a high level, you understand what it means to be in, there's another camera going. You understand what it means to be in a situation to, to know what it's actually like to be in the element.
Right.
And then you have people who are like reporters and journalists that only really know it from the outside looking in. They never really get the perspective of the player because simply they haven't done it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like as a man, I will never know what it's like to be a woman because I'm a man.
Right.
I can't control that.
Right.
But or being black, right?
Yeah.
If you're a white person or a black person, you don't know what it's like to be either or because you physically can't be either or.
Mm-hmm.
But in this particular case, you decide whether you want to be in the club or not in the club.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to take that first step because once you develop the stomach for taking the risk,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to be nothing for you. Like I tell people every day, I may wake up and I'll be down, $4,000
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, I'll get it back, what I mean? Or I may wake up and I'll be up 6,000 and I'm like, okay, it'll go down tomorrow, so it's like,
That's because you understand the risk.
yeah, exactly.
If you don't understand the risk, you'll be like, shit, 6,000, 4,000, I'm down 4,000, pull it out. But once you really understand what the market is doing and what it means, and this loss is just a paper loss, then it's like, you can understand that. You can be like, you can sleep fine at night. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's another one thing. When you have the knowledge of knowing your investments, knowing what you're doing, volatility in either your project or in the market, whatever you're doing, whatever comes up, you know exactly how to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's not a panic.
Mm-hmm.
People panic when they are uncertain of something. When you are certain of something, you are less likely to panic because you have confidence in what is going to happen next.
Right.
When you don't know what's going to happen next, then you just you panic.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the COVID situation is the way it is. No, nobody knew what was going to happen next, and people still don't know. Although cases are going down,
Mm-hmm.
but just think about how crazy everything was when it first came out.
Yeah, you couldn't find toilet paper, you couldn't get water. It was like 5 hurricanes coming to Houston. Couldn't get anything.
You couldn't get anything. You couldn't do anything. Leadership, couldn't tell us anything. They didn't know anything. It's just like now. That's why knowledge is so important. And when you have the opportunity to know something,
Mm-hmm.
know it. And it doesn't always mean knowing up front.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it means knowing as you go. But, regardless of the situation, always feel that you have some sort of control over your emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You may not have any control over the situation. Like in the stock market, you don't really have any control.
Mm-hmm.
But you can control your emotions based on knowing, okay, if this stock drops 30%,
Right.
I still am confident based on my research and my knowledge, knowing that this stock will rebound and some.
Mm-hmm.
So when it does drop to 30%,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be buying on the way down
Mm-hmm.
so that my average stock position or my average stock price for that particular position, goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And when it goes on the up and up and up, I'm making even more money.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people will do who don't have the knowledge is they'll buy the stock as soon as it drops. And mind you, Apple and Tesla just split recently. And a lot of people bought Apple and Tesla right before the split. And, I'm like, dude, I'm not touching no stock just because I know that they're already, valued pretty high. I know a lot of people who got destroyed because literally 3 days later after the stock split, everything just went down. like massively down. And if you don't know anything about those stocks or those companies, that's why I tell people, you buy companies, you're not buying stock, you're buying a company. So like, stop looking at it as a number. You know what I mean? People will buy a stock and think, okay, this stock is only $7. I'm going to buy this stock and hopefully it gets to $9. As soon as that stock gets to $6, you're panicking because you don't know anything about the company. So, you know, I'm saying all that to say this: when you truly know your shit, it's very easy to control your emotion because you're confident in the decisions that you're making. And regardless if the knowledge comes from, you know, some kind of proactive approach, which is actually doing, or some kind of, you know, preactive, is that a word? Preactive approach. Learning beforehand, you have to be able to do both. You cannot do one without the other, in my opinion, because if you make an investment based on, you know, some kind of emotion, I want to be in the stock market, but I don't want to take the knowledge to learn it, then you're going to sell out as soon as your money starts to go down because you don't know what you're doing. Vice versa, if you know a lot of stuff because you've been doing your research but never put your money into a position, then you're only wasting your time and you're not going to get the experience that you really want because you don't know how you're going to react if something were to happen that's positive or negative. Would you actually sell out of a position if it goes up, or would you actually sell out when it goes down? Would you actually hold it? You will never really know unless you put yourself in that situation. So, you know, that's kind of what I hope I can leave you guys with is, you know, just go for it. And, you know, I know we had a lot of, you know, in kind of discussion just about investing in general, but it all starts with you and, you know, your mental strength of what can you take, and, you know, don't look at what other people are doing and, you know, and try to, you know, kind of relate that to what you're doing, especially during this tough time. Focus on being as mentally strong as you can be. If you got to be strong for others, be strong for others. And when you are ready to take the step, you know, take the step, be disciplined in it, be consistent.
Don't half step.
Yeah, don't half step. Yeah. But yeah, this has been just a crazy episode. You know, the tone has changed because all the cameras shut off. I think, you know, God is telling us that we need to go ahead and we need to go ahead and end it. But honestly, we can talk forever because we've had conversations where we just literally go on and on and on. And, you know, we've been talking throughout this, you know, throughout these technical difficulties, and, you know, Tarek has really, you know, like the idea of a podcast because you can reach people, and, you know, it's just a conversation, but at the same time, you know, if you don't like to read books or do a lot of other stuff that, you know, it's a medium to consume knowledge and to find entertainment, stuff like that. So, you know, we actually have been going for a little while, so we're going to do more episodes. We have to. I mean, it's only right. You know, we're really good friends, and, you know, we have a lot of knowledge and kind of stuff that we want to spread and hopefully motivate everyone to take that step. So I guess, Tarek, do you have any closing remarks? Where can we reach you? All that kind of stuff.
Closing remarks, I would say just, you know, follow your craft, be passionate about something. If you're not passionate, if you don't know what you're passionate about, just, you know, take that time and just, you know, it may be inner reflection, or it may just be trying a whole bunch of stuff until you figure out what you're passionate about. But once you are passionate about it, you know, throw everything at it and, you know, pursue it with everything that you have. And then, you know, what's meant to happen is meant to happen. You know, prepare yourself, educate yourself, you know, invest in yourself. That's the most important investment that you need to make. We're talking about investments and all this stuff, but before we made our single investment, we invested in ourselves. We make sure that we got the knowledge, the resources in order to make our investments and do what we needed to do. So, you know, be passionate, invest in yourself, and, you know, be like Seabiscuit. Have your blinders on and don't really look at, you know, what anyone else is doing or what anyone else is, you know, claiming to have or whatever. And, you know, you'll be successful, whatever success means to you. That's pretty much all I have to say. If they, we're doing contacts now.
Yeah. Where can we reach you if we wanted to?
You can,
You're elusive.
I have a website, monopolydevelopmentllc.com. I have contact information on there. If you want to email me, you could do tjt@monopolydevelopment.com. But yeah, I'm always open to meet up with people, talk to them, help them get to wherever they need to go. So you can contact me.
No weird stuff though. Don't be meeting up and on some weird, you know what I mean? But yeah, we really appreciate you, Tarek. And
Thanks
continue.
for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna have to do some more because you got way too much knowledge in that brain that we need to bring out to the folks.
Knowledge is power.
Exactly. So definitely surround yourself with people that know more than you in other areas. That way you continue to grow.
Yeah.
Me and Tarek, we're friends, but at the same time, we feed off each other's knowledge. And
Right.
I think you have to surround yourself with friends that constantly, challenge you to, want to learn more and want to grow.
Have the same goals as you.
Exactly. So like, what I say, birds of a feather flock together.
Yep.
So,
You are who you surround yourself with. So if you surround yourself with bums, as Xavier describes the word bums, then you'll more than likely be a bum. If you surround yourself with, people, athletes, then you're probably gonna, be an athlete if you're young. You know what I mean? If you surround yourself with people who are doing, investments and, working with finance and all of that, then, if you don't have that knowledge, it'll eventually trickle off on you. So, whatever you're doing, make sure that you're whatever you want to do, just make sure you surround yourself with those type of people.
Awesome. Yep. So this has been the Red Eye Podcast. It's been a fantastic episode. We apologize for all the technical difficulties. It happens sometimes,
Blame it on COVID.
Yeah, we'll blame it on COVID. This next gen COVID has been something serious.
It's affecting technology now.
Yeah.
Cameras dying, everything.
Yeah, all my cameras have COVID. My laptop has COVID. It actually really does. Like if you look at it, I really need to. I'm building this PC soon. As soon as I get this, I can't tell you what GPU it is because it's a surprise. I think you guys know what it is. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching, if you're watching on YouTube, then definitely give us a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment below.
And that's it. That was perfect timing, bro.
All right, so just as I was trying to end the show, the camera cut off again. I don't know what's going on. The camera has COVID. We need to go ahead and end the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Red Eye Podcast. Tarek, you've been awesome. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
The Red Eye Podcast, if you enjoy it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube because it really helps the channel grow. And,
Thumbs up.
Motivation. We need that motivation over here. Everyone needs it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us that 5-star rating. And if you're on Spotify, any other platform, go ahead and give us a share. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll have Tarek back on in a future episode, probably many more. But thank you guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Air horns. Boom, boom, boom. It's lit.
We're out.